Okay, right. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Vena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Dupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Shurato Pango Mama Manda Matirgati Mat Sarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohana Divyat Vrindaranyo Kalpa Dhumadaha Srimat Ratnagado Simhasanastau Srimat Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prashtali Bihi Sevyamano Smarami Srimandasarambi Vamsivatastatastitaha Karshan Venosnanairgopi Gopinata Shriyastanaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripuri Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutam, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Saiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Dharma Projito Kaitavo Atra Paramo Nidmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vashtamatra Mashtasivadam Tapatrayo Nudanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Vapare Ishvaraha Hridiyorsukshana. This Bhagavata Purana is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion. From the welfare of all such truth uproots the threefold miseries. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Vapare Ishvaraha Sadhyo Hridi Avarudyate Atra Kritibihi Sushubhishtakshanat. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What need is there for any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Nigamakam patarorgalitam phalam sukam kadamritam bhavya samyakam Bhagavad Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Vibhavakaha Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Sammitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishihi Nishresya Saya Lokasya Dhanyam Swastiyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vignavinasha Narasimhaiti Namini Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langaitim Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Om Tat Sat. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. So, welcome again to our Srimad Bhagavatam session. So, right. So, we will begin by recapping what we finished previous session. So, as you know, we have started the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We looked at chapter 1. Chapter 1 is entitled The First Step in God Realization. So, this is basically this in this canto, Sukadev Goswami begins to speak. In Canto 1, we heard about the build-up on how Srimad Bhagavatam came to be spoken, came to be written, composed, and came to be spoken by Sukadev Goswami. The entire situation of what happened and everything, all of that we heard, together with also some narrations of Lord Krishna's pastimes and his relationships with the Pandavas, and how he established Dharma. So in all this we heard. But now Canto 2, Sukadev Goswami begins Srimad Bhagavatam. So recap. So chapter 1, it began with, if you remember, uh, in Canto 1, towards the end, the third last verse of Canto 1, when Sukadev Goswami comes, Parikshit Maharaj, the scenario is Parikshit Maharaj has been cursed and he has retired to the banks of the river Ganga in order to fast until death. So at that time, all the sages from all over the universes, they assembled also. And then he put to them this question, what should I do now that I'm about to, what is my duty? So as he was putting this question, Sukadev Goswami happened to walk by. So by the will of providence, actually the will of Lord directly. So this Sukadev Goswami comes, the perfect speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Parikshit Maharaj inquires, the perfect inquirer, the student of Srimad Bhagavatam. So such a situation happened, and all the sages assembled, all of them sat to listen to the answer of Sukadev Goswami. So what was the question put forward by Parikshit Maharaj? So this is the verse. Yat chrotavyam ato japyam. Yat kartavyam nirbhihi prabho. Smartavyam bhajaniyam va. Bruhi yat va viparyavam. So he's saying, for one who is about to die, right? What is it that one should hear? Yat chrotavyam means what should he hear? Ato japyam, what should he chant? Yat kartavyam, what should he do? What activities should he do? And then he's asking, what else? What should he remember? Smartavyam. And what should he worship? Bhajaniyam. Right? So please tell, and also tell what he should not do. Bruhiyat va viparyavam. Tell me also what I should not do. So in this way, he puts this question to Sukadev Goswami. So chapter 1, Canto 2 begins with Sukadev Goswami congratulating Parikshit Maharaj for his wonderful, glorious question. So Sukadev Goswami is very pleased and he says, wow, what a wonderful question you have asked. So why is this question wonderful? The question is wonderful because the answer to that question will benefit the whole world. Lokahitam. Right? So the word lokahitam is used. Hitam means beneficial, loka means the entire universe, particularly in on earth. So but you remember, everyone from all over the universe was also assembled to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. So lokahitam, the answer is most beneficial to the entire creation. And it is going to be the paratattva, the ultimate knowledge, the ultimate truth. The tattva means knowledge, or that, or what is the truth, and para means the supreme. He's going to give the topmost understanding about the absolute truth, as approved by all Atmavid. So this is a full conclusion of all those who have attained transcendental realization. All the Atmavid. Atmavid means those who have attained transcendental realization. So after saying this, after congratulating Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadev Goswami begins to answer one by one the questions. So he begins by first laying down the qualifications, what one should not be doing. Because if you remember, one of the questions asked was, what should one not do? Right? What is the question? What is the best thing to do now? What's the best duty for one who is about to die? So, in other words, everybody, because the term is used mriya amanasya. Mriya comes from the word mrityur, which means death. Amanasya means always, but but mriya amanasya means, that means they're going to die. So that means everybody, because all of us are going in the same category, right? We are all going to die one day. So only time separates. So therefore, what is the ultimate duty for everybody? So then Sukadev Goswami begins by speaking. So he says what one should not do, right? One should not be a grihamedi. So what is a grihamedi? Grihamedi is the opposite of grihastha. So we hear grihastha, right? It's householder. So what is actually the definition of grihamedi? Definition of grihamedi, here Prabhupada gives definition of grihamedi. What we should not do. So the word griha means house, and medi means, medi, the word medi itself means envious. So one should not be envious. So generally, human society is a very envious society, isn't it? Right? You would definitely would have noticed in your lives. So generally a very envious society. Everybody, so long as somebody hasn't surpassed you or surpassed us, we are okay. But the moment somebody comes close to attaining the same level with us, or trying to surpass us in any of the opulences, then there is some kind of ill wish in the heart. So that is envy. We don't want to, nandu mentality. In other words, they say. So this is common and prevalent in human life. So we don't want to be like this. Why we should be envious? Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam tells us everybody is getting what they are due rightfully based on their own actions in the past, whether in their past current life or in the previous life. So if whatever we are getting or whatever somebody else is getting, they deserved it. They got it. And if we are not getting what they are getting, it's because we either were very sinful or we were not performing the right pious activities. So, in that sense, there is nothing to be envious about, because there is supreme justice going on all over the universe. So that understanding is very, very important for us to be established. So if we can always remember this, then we will not be envious of anything, right? And the key towards not being envious is to become satisfied. One of the qualities of a Brahmana. Tushta. The word tushta means to be satisfied. To be satisfied in what we have, whatever that is there, what may come by Lord's will, what may go by Lord's will, to understand that whatever that happens is it's already destined by the Lord, right? So that is to be satisfied. Learn to be happy with what we have and not to hanker for something which we don't have. So that will remove envy, right? So, what else is a definition of Griha Medi? Number one is someone who lives in a house. Griha means lives in a house in the comforts of all the home. That means basically creature comforts, and envious, not enough. And engrossed. And what do they do? What's their activity? Engrossed in sahasra mundane topics, thousands and thousands. Their intelligence is bahushaka hi anantascha. Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, there's a verse. It says, what's the first? Vyavasayatmikaha buddhe ekeha kurunandana bahushakahi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. Bhagavad Gita says, one who wants to be a student of Bhagavad Gita, his intelligence has to be single aim. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Buddhi means intelligence. It has to be single aim. That means very, very focused towards self-realization, towards understanding all this, right? But if his intelligence is bahushaka hi anantascha, that means bahushaka means many branched. Just like a tree will break into many branches. So if our intelligence is also, diverted here, diverted there, here also we are interested, there also we are interested, everything we are interested, right? Then we cannot really focus in one thing with full concentration. So that is Bahushaka, right? And what kind of people are Bahushaka Anantascha? Then the next verse in Bhagavad Gita will tell us, Bhogaishwarya Prashaktanam Taya Pahrita Chetasam, right? Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, Vayasaka Buddhi, Samadao Vidyate. So it says, those people who are Bahushaka, who are many branched in intelligence, who are these type of people? These are people who are not detached. People who are too much attached to what? Bhoga and Aishwarya, to sense gratification, and to Aishwarya, opulence, gain, labha. So to such people, this is definition of Grahamedi, right? Envious, creature comforts, too much attachment to everything, and also to Bhoga and Aishwarya, right? And as a result, because they are too attached, they have many, many topics to talk about. Their interest is stolen by many things. So Sahasra, thousands of mundane topics. So we have to be careful about this, right? And as a conclusion, because of this, they are so interested in every other topic in this world, but when it comes to topics of spiritual life towards Atma Tattva, they become very dull. They become sleepy, they become bored. Everything else, their eyes can become very open, very large. Their attention is at full, in full attention. But when it comes to Atma Tattva, then the eye starts closing. Then everything, as soon as we say Jayara Madhava, we sing the song, people go to sleep. And then when they wake up for Mahaprasade Govinde Namabra, again sense gratification. But of course, that's Mahaprasada. But the point is this. So this is the definition of Griha Medi. So we have to be very careful to not fall into this category. Because if we fall into this category, then we cannot understand Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam. So then what to do? Then what we have to do is we have to slowly do devotional service and purify ourselves and our consciousness until we develop some taste in hearing. That is the first indication of advancement. To develop taste in hearing the topics related to the Supreme Lord, to the pure devotees of the Lord. That is the first sign of advancement. And it has to be maintained and it should increase. So, and what do these Grahamidis do? They spend their night time in Nidra. Nidra means in sleeping or in sexual gratifications. And the daytime they spend in Artehaya. Arthataya means economic development. They spend fully engrossed in economic development, in other words, making money, right, and gains. And Kudumba Baharanena, in maintaining the family. So they're very much engrossed in family matters and earning and making a profit. So that's all. So this is why this is condemned. This is condemned not because Srimad Bhagavatam is not saying that we should just give up everything and do nothing. Rather, Srimad Bhagavatam is condemning those people who do only these things. Only. That is the one which is being condemned, not because they are doing these things. So, and the reason why they are doing these things, that is also condemned. So, therefore, what else it says? And as a result of all this, they are oblivious to their inevitable destruction. So they continue day and night, day and night, day and night, not understanding that their life can be cut at any time. So they make plans, they live in the present and they make plans for the future, but it's all in relation with these activities which I've just mentioned, right? And they do not spend a single time or moment on spiritual activities. So that is the problem. So that is condemned. So these are called grihamedis. And then Sukadev Goswami continues about what must one do to become Ichchata Abhayam. So these people, the Grihamedis, they live in a life full of fear. They are always fearing. Fear, fear, fear. So if you know someone who is always living in fear, that is an understanding that this is a Grihamedi consciousness. Why they are in fear? Because they are always insecure. Oh, what if I lose this? What if I don't gain this? So that is the problem. So if we want, everybody wants to become fearless, right? Abhayam, Abhaya Charanara Vinda. So we have taken shelter of the spiritual master, Abhaya Charanara Vinda, who is fearless. Why he is fearless? Very simple. The name itself tells us why somebody is fearless. Because they have taken Charanara Vinda, they have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That is why. And Srila, and if we follow someone who has taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, by his association and by his instruction and by his blessings, we can be purified and we can also be like him, right? Fearless. So this is the word, Ichchata Abhayam. If we, Icha means desire. If we desire to be fearless, then what must we do? So that is what Sukadev Goswami speaks about next. So what does he say in order to become fearless? So then this beautiful verse is given, right? Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari Srotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Chetatabhyam. So Tasmat Bharata, oh therefore, Tasmat means therefore, oh therefore Bharata, descendant of Bharata, you're coming from the lineage, the great lineage of Bharata, right? If you want to be Ichchatabhyam, Ichcha means to be desiring to be fearless. Ichchata Abhayam. You want to become fearless? What you must do? You must Srotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyas. You must hear. Shrotavya means hear. You must hear or read or hear. You must kirtitavyas, you must chant or glorify, and you must smartavyas, remember, always remember. Remember what? Hear what? Chant what? Sarvatma, that personality who is everywhere. That that Sarva Atma, that Atma who is everywhere. Super soul, right? Paramatma. Who is none other than Bhagavan, who is Ishvaro, the supreme controller, and who is none other than Hari. This is the person that we should always remember and chant, right? We should hear, we should remember, we should hear, chant, and remember. Repeat, hear, chant, remember, hear, chant, remember, repeat, repeat. Simply by doing this, we can become Icha, we can become Abhayam, fearless. That is the process, right? And then he gives the next verse, Etavan Sankhya Yogavyam Swadharma Parinishtaya Janmalabha Parapumsham Ante Narayana Smriti. So he says, and this process of Shrotavya Kirtitavyas Smartavyas, to hear, to chant, to remember, this process is best process and it's suitable for everyone. Who are the everyone? Those people, oops, sorry. The everyone here means those who are those who are Sankhya. Sankhya means those who have taken the path of jnana. That means those who are trying to understand the spirit, the Supreme Lord, through study, through experiment, through going through various scriptures. Sankhya, right? And even those who have taken towards yogabhyam, those who are looking for meditation, they have taken that path. So even so, the mental speculators, the mystic yogis, and also the normal people, everybody, the normal people who are following varnashram. So swadharma pranishtaya, that means those who are trying to follow varnashram system, their own dharma perfectly. How to follow the dharma perfectly? We talked about it in the previous session. So basically, and we are going to talk about it a little bit more in today's session also. So basically, it means to dedicate our activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Haritoshanam, samsiddhir haritoshanam. So when we execute, so this is buddhi yoga. So Krishna tells Arjuna, begin buddhi yoga. Whatever activities you're doing, continue doing. Who asked you to stop? Simply do them for my pleasure, for my honor, for my glorification. Do it for my purpose. Don't do it for your own gain. Reject the fruits. You do it. It's not that we reject. The point is we don't do it with the expectation of the fruits. We do it for the goal of pleasing the Lord. Automatically the fruits will come or may not come, and we use those fruits in the pleasure of the Lord, and automatically we also get satisfied. Perfect. Just like food, right? We work, we earn money, we cook the food, we buy vegetables, we buy everything, we cook very nice food, and we offer it to the Lord, and the Lord gives it back to us. So simply by us offering to the Lord, we automatically enjoy also the prasadam, right? That is called mercy. Prasadam means mercy. So we become recipient of the mercy. So that is the perfect way of executing our varna and ashram. So therefore, whether it's anybody who's doing like this, or even the mystic yogis, or even those the jnanis, all of them will benefit, right? Why? Because Janma Lava Parapumsam, this is the topmost perfection of human life. What is that? What is the topmost perfection of human life? Ante Narayana Smriti. At the end of life, to remember Narayana Smriti. Smriti means remember the Lord. So how can we do this? Simply by hearing, chanting, and remembering the Lord. So if we follow this process, then it will happen. For a fact, it will happen. So now Sukadev Goswami, we have established the topics. So Sukadev Goswami is going to go deeper into these topics which we have just recapped from our previous session. So today, part 2, session 74. So now we continue with verse 7, chapter 1. O Rajan, O King, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of Hari. Mm. So here it says there are, previously we have mentioned there are two types of transcendentalists: those who are liberated and those who are not yet liberated. So when somebody is already liberated, they have no more impurities in their hearts, and because they have no more impurities, when topics of the Lord is either heard, chanted, when they come in contact with Bhagavatam, when they come in contact with the Lord or his devotees, these transcendentalists, they will automatically find attraction, right? Just like, when somebody is having eye disease, when someone is having eye disease, then when you show to that person very beautiful pictures, or very, they are not so interested. They will see, but because they have pain when they see through their eyes, they can't really appreciate. It becomes a source of, trouble for them. And similarly, for someone who has jaundice, If somebody is jaundice, it is said that when you give them sweet things, it will taste like bitter, very bitter. So it's like they say, by if you give them sugarcane juice, someone who has jaundice, it will taste like as if they're drinking petrol. So very, very horrible taste it seems. But if somebody is not having jaundice, if you give them sugarcane juice, automatically they will relish it, right? So similarly, this Srimad Bhagavatam or topics of transcendental topics of the Lord, they are very much relished by those who are transcended because no more impurities, no disease. They are not in a disease condition. So they find it very attractive. So very easily they can take pleasure in describing glories of Hari. Now, what about the devotees who are not uh, transcendental? So when they are not yet transcended, when they are still under the three modes of material nature, right? So then, that's why people don't feel, that's why the Grihamedis, we describe the Grihamedis, they don't like to hear, they don't like to chant, they don't like to remember the Lord. So therefore, the Kali Yuga is made in such a way that it forces them to hear, forces them to chant, forces them to remember the Lord. That's why miseries and difficulties come in this material world. Simply to give us we are all diseased. So therefore, in order to make us take our medicine, the Lord forces this by giving us these difficulties sometimes. So anyway, so this is the verse on this. So, but as we continue hearing and chanting, even though we forced to take it, right? Just like in jaundice, if you go to Ayurvedic understanding, Prabhupada gives this in many times. He says, if somebody has jaundice, he cannot drink sugarcane because it's very, very horrible for him to taste. But what is the cure? The cure is sugarcane. So simply by drinking sugarcane, in the beginning it's so horrible, but as he drinks, eventually the jaundice is cured and he begins to find taste in the sugarcane juice. He begins to find taste. It's not so horrible after all. It's palatable. It's acceptable. It is nice. Okay, I will like to, I'd like to hear it more and more. Right? And then at one point of time, it becomes tasty. Oh, very tasty. Then it becomes addicted. So these are, and then he becomes completely, in love with that. So these are the processes, right? Of the nine processes of bhakti. Nishta means becomes fixed. After that becomes ashakti, becomes attached. Then ruchi develops taste. Then after that bhava, very high developed, very high taste, and they go into ecstasy when they drink. So like that. So this is basically so what is Sukadev Goswami saying? Sukadev Goswami is saying, so even those who are mystic yogis, those who have attained Paramatma, even those who are the jnanis who have attained Brahman, if somehow or other this devotional service is given to them, they may find it very attractive. So there are many stories like this, just like how the Sanat Kumaras, there are Sanat Kumaras. These Sanat Kumaras look like children, but in fact they are the oldest created beings in this universe. They are the sons. They are the first sons of Brahma, and they refused to grow up. They wanted to keep the same body in a youthful form. They wanted to keep it in a childlike form because they don't want to ever experience lust, because children don't experience sexual attraction, right? So they wanted to keep their bodies in that way, and they didn't want to populate the universe. They wanted to dedicate their life in jnana yoga. So they were already liberated by their process of jnana yoga, but still they were wandering around the universe. They were not engaged. They are Brahman realized, they are free from suffering, but they were idle because they were not engaged positively. They didn't know what to do with their lives until they came in contact with Lord Hari. When they inhaled the fragrance of the tulsi leaves coming from the feet of Lord Hari, then they thought, what a nice fragrance. Oh, so wonderful. They became attracted to it. Their minds became attracted. So that attraction, which is a favorable attraction, that created a lot of agyata sukriti in them. And because of that Agryata Sukriti, they were able to take up devotional service after that by the blessings of Tulasi Maharani and Lord Hari. So this is what Sukadev Goswami is saying. So Prabhupada says, real transcendental pleasure is realized in the glorification of the transcendental Lord. So it is there. It is there. It is currently we are trying to lick the honey bottle with, we are not tasting the honey fully. Sometimes the Lord, by his special grace and special mercy, sometimes when we are particularly sincere or serious, sometimes here and there we are able to taste the honey, a shadow of the honey. In Nectar of Devotion, this is described as chaya, technical term. It says chaya. Chaya is the shadow of Baba, shadow of pleasure. So it's not yet the real pleasure, but we taste little shadow of the pleasure of spiritual life. And that tasting of the shadow of the pleasure of spiritual life keeps us continuously in spiritual life. You understand? It's like we are still, why are we still chanting? Why are we still being in this spiritual life? Because we are tasting some kind of pleasure. It's not yet the full pleasure, it is a shadow of those pleasure. It comes by the mercy of the Lord, right? So the Lord does this to enthuse us. But rest assured, there is unlimited transcendental pleasure in this chanting, in this hearing and chanting and remembering the Lord and serving the Lord and his devotees. So real transcendental pleasure is realized in the glorification of the transcendental Lord and not in the feeling of being situated in his impersonal feature. So in Brahman, there is no positive pleasure. There is only the understanding that we are the soul. Therefore, I have nothing to do with the material nature. I have nothing to do with the sufferings of material nature. I am aloof and material nature cannot affect me. You know, immunity. So that is one kind of pleasure. Oh, I'm immune. I'm free. That is one kind of pleasure, but it's actually just relief. It's not really pleasure. Pleasure is positive engagement in something, right? So that is this. And then the next verse, Sukadev Goswami continues to the next verse. At the end of the Dwapara Yuga, I studied this great supplement of Vedic literature named Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Brahma Samhitam. Equal Brahma Samhitam means the conclusion of the Vedas. Brahma Samhitam, conclusion of the Vedas. And in other words, it also means equal to all the Vedas. So, therefore, and this is another indication to show that Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost of literatures. And he heard this from my father, Srila Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. So this is proof, right, that this devotional service attracts even Brahman realized people. Because just now I gave the example of the Sanat Kumaras. So now Sukadev Goswami gives his own example. He himself, we heard about his situation. We heard about Sukadev Goswami in the first canto, about him, right? And he was a transcendentalist. He was Brahman realized personality. And he himself took the trouble to study Srimad Bhagavatam from his father because he developed attraction and attachment to it. So it is capable of attracting even the liberated people. Even the liberated people find taste in Srimad Bhagavatam. Especially the liberated people, they will find taste in Bhagavatam because they are free from impurities, right? So that's why the verse, we always say this verse, Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. This phalam is the ripened fruit of the Vedic tree. Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. Sukamukad Amrutam Dravya Samyutam. It has emanated from the lips of Sukadev Goswami. Sukamukad Amrutam Dravya Samyutam. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam. Muhurahu Rasika Bhuvi Bhavakaha. Those who are liberated, they rasika, they taste it and they relish this Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is what Sukadev Goswami is saying. So therefore he's giving his own history. So why he's doing it. So Prabhupada says Srimad Bhagavatam, the postgraduate study of the science of Godhead, can only be learned by studying it at the feet of a realized soul like Srila Vyasadeva. So it's difficult to go through Srimad Bhagavatam on our own. We have to hear, right? Like Srimad Bhagavatam, we are very fortunate because Prabhupada is guiding us. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, that's why he has taken the trouble to write extensive purports. So these extensive purports and his translations are very, very special. It is the association of Srila Prabhupada. So simply by studying this association of studying the Srimad Bhagavatam translation and purports by Prabhupada, right? Or especially hearing discourses or attending classes and hearing from those who are very, it's best to hear from those who are very, very pure. So if somebody is not very pure, then like me, then at least we are trying to repeat the same things which somebody has said, or at least trying to explain it in our own realization. So as we realize more and more, we are able to, explain it more and more. We can share our own individual realizations. We can take advantage of the realizations of the acharyas. So nowadays, all this information is available. So, and importantly, it has to be a devotee. So we should hear Bhagavatam from someone who is favorable towards the Lord, who is practicing spiritual activities to please the Lord. Then it becomes very, very powerful. So then Prabhupada continues. Srimad Bhagavatam is called Brahma Samhitam because it is the sound representative for Lord Krishna. Like we heard already in Canto 1, it is the Lord himself, right? Sakshat to Bhagavan, Srimad Bhagavatam. So like the Bhagavad Gita is the sound incarnation of the Lord because it is spoken by the Supreme Lord. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound representative of the Lord because it was spoken by the incarnation of the Lord about the activities of the Lord. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam standard. So as I said, this is the ripened fruit. You can see if this is the Vedic tree. The Vedic tree has many, many fruits. Fruits like moksha, liberation, fruits like dharma, artha, kama, right? But the ripened fruit, the most tastiest of all the fruits, the greatest of the fruit of the Vedic tree, it's this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the matured knowledge, which is the nectar of all the Vedas, which is the essence of the entire Vedic literature. It's like we could say it's the barfi of the Kamadhedu cows. If you take milk from the Kamadhedu cows and you make it into barfi, and that barfi is fed to you by a pure devotee of the Lord, that is the ultimate, right? So that is Srimad Bhagavatam. As stated in the beginning of this book, it is the essence of the Vedic desire tree and the natural commentation of the Brahma Sutras. Brahma Sutra means the Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra is the commentary of the entire Vedas. The topmost philosophical thesis on the subject of the matter of Brahman. So then Sukadev Goswami continues, O Raja Rishi, right? O saintly king. Initially he called him king, now he calls him Raja Rishi. So this is indicating that Sukadev Goswami is saying that you, Parikshit Maharaj, are definitely not a Grihamedi, right? And you are definitely better than even a liberated person because you are a devotee. So you are like a Raja Rishi. I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence. So he's telling Parikshit Maharaj, I was liberated from birth. Even before birth, I was liberated. So from birth, I was liberated, right? Yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. Uttama Shloka. So Krishna is known as Uttama Shloka. That means choice words and poetry are used to describe the name, glory, the names, the glories, the fame, and the pastimes and the leelas of the Lord. So I became attracted. So again, we are pointing this evidence that it is attractive to even the liberated persons. So this is proof that devotional service is greater than liberation. Because if it's not greater than liberation, how can it attract a liberated person? So that is why. So Prabhupada says the absolute truth is realized at the first instance as the impersonal Brahman. So if you want to understand what is absolute truth has three different levels. Now we have talked about this many times already in previous canto, right? Brahman realization is the first level of understanding absolute truth. So it's like, when we look up, we see the sun, right? Before we see the sun, we see daylight. So we are cognizant, in the beginning, we are in the dark room. We are in a dark room, right? This is like we are in conditioned life. So we have covered our rooms with different colored curtains. So we have orange color curtains, red color curtains, black color curtains. So in this way, the curtains represents the three modes. So we can see light coming through, but it's filtered through the three modes. But let's say we remove the curtain, we open the door, and we step outside, then we can see daylight everywhere. So that is like Brahman realization. Come out of the shackles of the room, now outside into the daylight, immersed in the sunlight. So that is Brahman realization. But if he thinks that that is it, that's it, but then it's not complete, because if he is intelligent, he will try to see where is the sunlight coming from, because light always has a source, right? It never comes by itself. There's always a source towards the light. So if he looks up into the sky, right, he will see the sun. Now a person who is not liberated, he cannot see the sun, because the sun is obstructed by clouds. So clouds are like the modes, and it's also like our anarthas. So if we have anarthas, we cannot see the sun. So we think we cannot see the sun. We only know daylight, that's it. But if one is liberated, he is pure, he looks up and he sees the sun. So this is where the light is coming from. Now that means the light has a localized source. So that is called Paramatma realization. That means he knows there is the light has a source. So this Brahman is coming from Paramatma, which is everywhere. But this Paramatma is only a reflection of the original same personality. The original. So if we look at the sun, if we have even better eyes, we can look into the sun and we can see that inside the sun there is the sun god, right? Now Surya Narayana. So he's inside the sun. So if we can see that, then that is Bhagavan realization. That is the highest realization of the supreme truth. There is nothing higher than that, O Arjuna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? So these are the three levels of realization. So Prabhupada says the first instance is the impersonal Brahman, right? Which can be attained even by jnana yogis, the philosophical speculation, right? But if we want to attain Paramatma, the super soul, then this can be attained by mystic yoga, meditation, right? But if by the grace of the Lord, an impersonalist or a mystic yogi is enlightened by superior statements of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is also converted into a transcendental devotee. So a devotee, because he is linking himself with Bhagavan, automatically he will realize Brahman, automatically he will realize Paramatma, because these are all subsets of the Bhagavan, right? So with a poor fund of knowledge, we cannot adjust to the idea of the personality of absolute truth. So people who are not too intelligent, they don't want to understand that the supreme truth is a person, because they are conditioned. They think that because I have this form, I have this body, and my body is imperfect, so I want to be free of my body so I can be floating in the Brahman. Why should I be limited by this body? So they see the body as a limitation. But that's our mistake, because our bodies are material. But the Lord's body is ananda, transcendental. It is blissful. It is spiritual. And it is not a limitation, right? The Lord is not limited by material things. It is unlimited. So his body itself is unlimited. He is, and that's the thing we have to understand. All right. So then the verse continues to 210. That very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you. because you are Maha Paurushikaha. So how is now Sukadev Goswami is saying, I'm going to tell you this Srimad Bhagavatam now, which I studied under Srila Vyasadev, my father. So now Srimad Bhagavatam is going to be recited to him in the assembly of all the sages. So it's going to be a very special situation, right? And why is he reciting? He's saying this to Parikshit Maharaj. So he is the perfect speaker, Sukadev Goswami, because he has faithfully heard in Parampara, he is liberated, and he has developed attraction and attachment. He has become a pure devotee, right? And he is saying it, he has relished it, and he is now speaking it. So it has matured realization. So when he speaks it to Parikshit, why is he speaking it to Parikshit? Because he's saying, Parikshit, you are Mahapauru. That means you are a sincere devotee of the Lord. Paurushikaha. So Paurushikaha means uh, one who deserves to approach Krishna. That's the translation. Paurushikaha means one who deserves, who has the adhikar, the qualification to approach Krishna. So Parikshit Maharaj has all the qualifications to approach Krishna because he is Mahabhagavat. He has all the qualities of a devotee, right? Not just Paurushika, Mahapaurushika. So therefore, he's the perfect person to receive Bhagavatam. Perfect speaker, perfect recipient. The transfer of Bhagavatam becomes perfect. And because we are hearing that conversation, which is coming from Sukadev Goswami and as heard by Parikshit Maharaj, because we are hearing that and being presented by Srila Prabhupada, who is also Mahapaurushikaha, right? And if we are also sincere in our heart to sincerely hear and to appreciate the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, we can appreciate it a little bit also, then we are very, very fortunate because we can get the full benefit of this. The more we hear, the more we can remember. We have to constantly hear. So then it becomes very powerful. One who gives full attention and respect. So this is the qualification of the listener, right? And also the speaker, right? One who gives full attention and respect, Shraddha Datam, to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves very soon, right? Sikram, unflinching faith. What we will get? We will get Nishta, unflinching faith. Mati, Safi in Mukunda. Mati Sati. That is Mati Sati means unflinching faith. So don't we want to have unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord? In who? In Mukunda, the giver of liberation, the giver of salvation. That means even at this stage, we can consider that such people are already liberated. If they can constantly with full attention and respect, simply by full attention and respect to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, at that time they are already liberated. If they were to die at that time, they will attain the Lord, right? But the challenge is to continue remembering, right? So that we can, at the time of death, we can remember. So Prabhupada says Srimad Bhagavatam is recognized Vedic wisdom. And the system of receiving Vedic knowledge is called Avaroha Panta. That means descending. Descending. Avaroha means coming down. Disciplic succession. Just like how the mango fruit, when you have mango growing on a tree, you don't wait for the mango to drop from the tree, correct? What will you do? We will carefully climb or I put a chair or something, and we go and catch, or we have a human ladder. We form a human ladder, and the person from the top, he will catch the mango, and then he will pass the mango down to the next person below, and he will pass carefully. The mango is passed, right? So that's the same way Srimad Bhagavatam's knowledge is passed. That is the way disciplic succession comes. For advancement of material knowledge, there is a need for personal ability and research aptitude. So Prabhupada says, when we want to uh, develop material knowledge, when we want to study material things, like, you go to a university, you do postgraduate studies, or you want to get A in your exams, right? So what is needed? What is needed is personal ability and researching aptitude. So there should be ability to study, ability to learn, intelligence, in other words, right? And a research aptitude, a necessity to a curiosity, and a mind which wants to find out more and more, to delve into the details. So this is needed for material knowledge, right? But in the case of spiritual knowledge, all progress depends more or less on the mercy of the spiritual master. So even if we don't have intelligence really, right? Even if we don't have this research aptitude, if we can somehow or rather get the mercy of the spiritual master, right, then all this will automatically develop. Everything that we need to understand Srimad Bhagavatam will come to us. This is what this is the way of disciplic succession. It's very mystical. Prabhupada continues. The spiritual master must be satisfied with the disciple simply by being tripti, in the heart they are pleased. Tripti. Oh, my disciple is serious. He's chanting his rounds, right? And he's following all the regulative principles. He is well established in his or her spiritual life. He's trying to serve here and there. He's strictly trying to follow the rules and regulations. That pleases the spiritual master. There are many ways to please the spiritual master, right? So the point is, the spiritual master, even if the spiritual master doesn't know, even if the spiritual master doesn't know what you are doing, that's the wonderful thing about devotional service. Some a guru may have thousands of disciples, like Srila Prabhupada had 5,000 disciples, right? He may not know what one person may be doing, right? But simply because the person is following faithfully the instruction, the Vani of the spiritual master, he doesn't have to know. Krishna Krishna is the in between person here. Krishna is in the spiritual master's heart, Krishna is also in our heart, right? The spiritual master is not in our heart. Krishna is in both our hearts. So he is the link, and he's the same person, you see. So by him being there, he will make it the automatic tripti will come uh, to the spiritual master. So it works that way. Very amazing. So not necessarily we have to have a direct personal relationship. Simply by faithfully following the Vani, right? That is sufficient. Only then is knowledge of spiritual science automatically manifested before the student. It's very, very important. The spiritual master here can refer to both Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru. If it is only Diksha Guru but there is no Siksha, then it is not good, right? In our society, the Diksha Guru is also the Siksha Guru. But at the same time, there are also other Siksha Gurus. But if there is, if the Siksha Guru, if the Guru only gives us initiation and there is no instruction, then it is pointless. So, like in profession, sometimes there are professional gurus who will come and say, if you go to Vrindavan, for example, sometimes there are all kinds of people over there, and they will tell you, "You simply give me my money, give me some money, I will give you diksha," right? And they don't give instruction. It's just diksha. That's it. And they don't come from parampara. So that is not diksha. There has to be instruction. Instruction. Chant 16 rounds every day, right? Follow 4 regulative principles carefully, strictly, right? Don't commit nama aparad, right? So like this. So these are instructions of and try to cooperate and push Prabhupada's mission. So follow Ekadasi. So ultimately we all look to Prabhupada for our instructions. We are all connected to him through the instructions. The same instruction only is repeated by the living Guru. So Prabhupada says the process should not, however, be misunderstood to be something like magical feats, whereby the spiritual master acts like a magician and injects spiritual knowledge into his disciple as if surcharging him with an electric current. So, sometimes we have this kind of a mentality. This is also discussed in Canto 1. I remember this slide was taken from Canto 1 slide only. So it's not like, oh, he comes and touches your head and then electric shock to you. And then suddenly all knowledge and all you become transcendental. Oh, the guru has touched me. And suddenly I have developed all kinds of transcendental symptoms. So it doesn't work like that, right? Uh, it should be, how should it be then? That is very, very rare. And if it happens also, that only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did that, right? Krishna will do that. But this is Kali Yuga. So we don't want to, the pure devotee doesn't do such things. So Prabhupada says the bona fide spiritual master reasonably explains everything to the disciple on the authorities of Vedic wisdom. So like Prabhupada writes his purport, he spent, he sacrificed his sleep and his health in order to write so many translations and purports so that he can give it to all of us, right? So all this he's taken the trouble to explain. So we have to cram all these books. We have to study the books like how a lawyer studies the law books. We have to know it frontwards and backwards. that is that is the way. So the disciple can receive such teachings not exactly intellectually. See, look at this. The disciple can receive such teachings not exactly intellectually. What does that mean? So, a dog or an animal cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Why he cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam? Because he doesn't have the intellectual capacity to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. He doesn't know Dharma, he doesn't know religion, he doesn't know God, he doesn't know what's right, what's wrong. He only knows how to satisfy his senses, right? And cunning is there. So that means intellectual ability is required, right? What is required? Simply being a human being. So what does a human being is able to do? He has the understanding and the knowledge to differentiate right and wrong, correct? And he has the ability, it's everybody has that potential to be able to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Nobody can say that I am illiterate or I didn't study, I don't know anything, right? If illiterate, okay, we cannot read, but we can hear. So then we should spend our time hearing and hearing and hearing, right? If we cannot read. But if we can read, then we can do both, reading and hearing. So no one can say, oh, I am too young, I am too old, oh, I am not educated, oh, my English or my Tamil or my Malay. So no excuse. Srimad Bhagavatam is in every language, right? So, and you cannot say, oh, I don't understand the statement, because there are devotees there to explain, right? There are gurus there to explain. So there is actually no excuse for anyone to say. So therefore, some intellectuality is needed, right? But it doesn't depend only on intellectuality. Not enough. It also requires submissiveness. One has to be in a submissive mood and mentality in hearing or reading Srimad Bhagavatam. One cannot be in a challenging mood. So the moment one is challenging or the moment one is puffed up, or very proud, right? Oh, I am a very intellectual person. Definitely Bhagavatam I can understand. If I have a PhD in rocket science, what is Srimad Bhagavatam? Jujubi, nothing. If he thinks like that and he approaches Srimad Bhagavatam, definitely he will not understand. He will be, in fact, forget about understanding. He will feel bored. He won't even finish reading because he will start yawning and he will say, oh, yeah, this is boring. I cannot continue. He'll close. So that's what happens. So but submissive inquiry and a service aptitude, right? Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. So we have to have service attitude and submissive inquiry. So this should be the mood and mentality. In other words, one should be a devotee. So the idea is that both the spiritual master and the disciple must be bona fide. Then there is connection. So Prabhupada says a devotee of Lord Krishna is he who believes sincerely that by becoming a devotee of the Lord, one becomes fully equipped with everything spiritual. So what is a devotee? Who is a devotee? At least we should have this faith, right? This is the faith of a Madhyamadikari. There are three types of devotees. There's the Kanishta, Madhyam, and the Uttama Adhikari, right? Kanishta is the beginning devotee. His faith is not very stable, very shaky. If he mixes with the wrong persons, they can quickly take away his faith, right? So therefore, very, very important for him or her sadhu sangha. Of course, sadhu sangha is important throughout, but particularly it is very risky for the Kanishta Adhikari. So his faith is very shaky. Ka Nishta. Nishta means steady. Ka means where. So in other words, where is the steadiness? No steadiness. So that's Kanishta. So Prabhupada says we have to come to the Madhyam level where we have to have this. What is the faith we should have? We should have that he believes sincerely. I may not be perfect. I may not be great. I may not have all the wonderful qualities, right? But I have faith that simply by becoming a devotee of the Lord, I can be fully equipped with everything spiritual. I don't need anything else. I don't need to do anything else. I simply need to hear, chant, and remember the Lord and serve the Lord and his devotees. That's all. I don't need to do this sangyam. I don't need to do that archana. I don't need to do this yagya. I don't need to be involved in it. Of course, people may do as a sake of duty. People don't want to misguide people away from the varnashram dharma, because not everybody is maybe in our level, or not everybody may have the faith that we have, right? So we have different procedures for different people, right? So we may, as a cause of duty, we may be doing it, right? But we have to be fully convinced that actually these are all just external. So long as one is a devotee, simply by if he spends his life and time every day by dedicating himself to the worship of the Lord, by hearing, by chanting, by remembering the Lord in some ways. How can we remember the Lord? We can remember when we hear about him, right? Or when we chant about him, or when we worship him. So when we have this kind of activities in our life, simply doing this, that is good. That is good enough. We have everything spiritual equipped. We don't need anything else. There is nothing lacking in that person. There's nothing, no duty left for that person to be doing. There's no other lacking of that person, right? That is the point we have to come to. So Arjuna got this point, right? And in Bhagavad Gita, so he surrenders to the Lord, right? The Lord gave this knowledge in Bhagavad Gita also, right? 1866, what he says? Sarva dharman parityagya. Give up all dharma, because you're already in the topmost dharma. Simply by doing devotional service, you're already in the topmost dharma. Even if you cannot do any other types of dharma, you don't have to be dependent. Don't worry, you are not going to sin. Sarva dharman parityagya, tyagya, right? Mam ekam sharanam raja. You only surrender to me. Do only to me, right? What he will do? I will save you from all sins. Do not fear. So abhayam, again abhayam. Do not fear. This unflinching faith in Lord Krishna prepares. This is not the end. Don't think that this is the end. This is Madhyam Adhikari only. This unflinching faith in Lord Krishna prepares one to become a student of Srimad Bhagavatam. And one who hears, so that's why it is said, Srimad Bhagavatam begins where Bhagavad Gita ends. So Bhagavad Gita helps us to bring Arjuna into the right direction. Unflinchingly, he now begins to act according to the will of the Lord. He is not interested, he's not bothered. Krishna is with me. Why do I have to worry? I will just do what Krishna says, right? So therefore, Guru has given, Prabhupada has given this to us. I will just do what he says. I don't have to worry that I am lacking in anything, right? So one who hears Srimad Bhagavatam from a devotee like Sukadev Goswami is sure to attain salvation at the end. Sure to attain salvation at the end as Maharaj Parikshit. That means we have to hear it like how Maharaj Parikshit did from the lips of a pure devotee, right? Or at least in the association of devotees, right? In the same mood we have to hear. Like how Prabhupada has explained all this, right? In the same attention. So one who is actually interested, so of course we shouldn't compare ourselves with Parikshit Maharaj. Neither should we compare ourselves with Sukadev Goswami. We are not there. Of course, to present this, Krishna puts the topmost standards. He puts the greatest of the speakers, Sukadev Goswami, and the greatest of the devotees, Parikshit Maharaj, right? But we have to follow in the footsteps. Simply by following, we don't imitate. We are not like them. We are not so great, right? But we imitate. So in this way, step by step, level by level, we will get to that position. One who is actually interested in the Bhagavatam, therefore, must not play. So here's a warning, therefore, must not play with Bhagavatam by reading or hearing a portion from here and a portion from there. One must follow in the footsteps of the great kings like Maharaj Ambarish or Maharaj Parikshit and hear it from a bona fide representative of Sukadev Goswami in sequence. Later, Prabhupada will mention also in sequence. So we have to follow. Now, this Srimad Bhagavatam is not simply, uh, sometimes we see why suddenly Krishna, why suddenly this topic is discussed, why suddenly that topic is discussed. So all of this is scientifically arranged to step by step awaken the love of God in our hearts. The arrangement is done in such a way that if we follow the arrangement of Srimad Bhagavatam, that means going chapter by chapter, canto by canto, without jumping, without going further, without going switch and going back and forth, right? Then we will get the full benefit. What is the full benefit? Actually, Srimad Bhagavatam is so sweet, we can bite it anywhere also. We can taste it anywhere, it's also tasty. It will definitely give benefit even in any direction we hear. But this is especially meant for people who are trying to develop pure love of God, Krishna Prema. So if we want Krishna Prema, like how Parikshit Maharaj got and went back to Goloka Vrindavan, then we should follow in the same footsteps by hearing step by step by step. Just like how Maharaj Parikshit of Ambarish. So actually Ambarish Maharaj also, he heard Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Prabhupada is saying, lah, I don't know the pastime of it, but apparently he was also someone who was, because we know Ambarish Maharaj was a great personality, right? He showed by example Atma Nivedana, how to surrender mind, body, and soul towards the Lord. How was he able to do it? We know his greatness, but how was he great? Because he took shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why he was able to do that, Atma Nivedana. So that is mentioned. So one who is actually interested in Bhagavatam, therefore, must not play with it by reading or hearing a portion from here and there. One must follow in the footsteps of the great kings like Maharaj Ambarish or Maharaj Parikshit and hear it from a bona fide representative of Sukadev Goswami. So Prabhupada is saying, we must hear from a bona fide representative of Sukadev Goswami. Who is a bona fide representative of Sukadev Goswami? Coming down from disciplic succession, right? That is a bona fide representative. So that could also mean all of us. So long as we are following the instructions strictly and carefully, right, we can also present this Srimad Bhagavatam to others, so long as we keep to the mood of the Acharyas and we repeat exactly what we have heard and share our understanding. So then this verse comes, Sukadev Goswami continues, very nice verse. Etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam akuto bhayam yoginam nirpa nirnitam harir namanukirtanam. So he says, O king, Harir Namanukirtanam, those who are chanting, the chanting Nama Anukirtanam. So Nama Kirtanam. Kirtanam means singing and dancing and chanting the names Nama of Harir. So Nama Kirtanam, after the ways of the great authorities, is doubtless the fearless way of success for all. So after glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, right, what is the next verse? Sukadev Goswami is saying the output, the result of what Srimad Bhagavatam will give us also is it will help us to chant better, right? Hare Namanu Kirtanam. to chant the holy names of the Lord. And it will help us to chant in the correct mood, in the correct way. So why do we hear Srimad Bhagavatam? So that our chanting becomes improved. So we can hear better, we can chant better, we can remember better, and so we can chant better, even better. And then we can hear even better, and then we can remember even better. And then like that, it becomes more and more powerful. It goes cyclic and cyclic. But here there's some very important point here. It says that it should be done by the way of the great authorities. So we have to follow in the way the great authorities have shown us how. We don't manufacture our own method. We don't manufacture our own chanting. We don't manufacture our own understanding. We have to follow strictly by the parampara, by the great authorities. So Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by Sukadev Goswami, coming in parampara, right? And in the same way, the chanting of the holy name, inaugurated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva, and coming down in that same way from Rupa Goswami to the Sat Goswamis, and then to our Guru Parampara from Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Thakur Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Gauri Kishore Das Babaji, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada, right? And in this way, we have to hear directly. That means we chant what they chanted. We chant in the same way in which they chanted. So we don't create new words. We don't create new mantras, right? That's why Prabhupada was very strict. He says, what is this? Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Chant Hare Krishna. This is not what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. So sometimes once in a while, okay, fine. But follow. And then what is this Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Sita Ram, Lakshman Hanuman? So of course they are names of God also, but it will give a different result. So for Kali Yuga, it is given particularly Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama. This is in the what Hare Nam? Any Hare Nam is good. Any names of the Lord will give us liberation. That one is understandable. It will deliver us from this Kali. It will give us liberation. But if you want Goloka Prema, like how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came down to give it to all of us, the topmost bhava and prema as experienced by Radharani and the gopis, if we want that, then we should strictly stick to Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in this way, we should follow what the acharyas and the authorities have said. So this is very important. Right? So if someone does this, right, what happens to them? Then, O King, Harinama, after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success. So it is doubtless, without doubt, they will achieve success. Without fear, without doubt, they will achieve success. And who will achieve success? Including those who are free from all material desires. That means whether we have no material desire, that means they are liberated, or whether we have desires of all material enjoyment, even if we are not liberated, even if we have desire to enjoy our senses, and even if they are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. So this is very high level of self-realization. So all of them, whether we are liberated, not liberated, or very highly, Paramatma realization also, all of them will achieve success. What is that success? Golokera Premadan, the treasure of the of the love of Goloka Vrindavan. Prema. That is what is the success. So Prabhupada says, here it is mentioned that one should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord after hearing it from authorities. This means that hearing from the authorities is the first essential. First essential. That's why we take Harinam Diksha, right? So we hear, and of course Prabhupada's chanting is there. So we try to follow, not imitate, we try to follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes nowadays we have the modern generation, they come up with all kinds of ways and singing, but it's good because it is still holy names of the Lord. But if we want the full doubtless and fearless way of success, then we have to follow in the same footsteps. So Prabhupada makes this an important point. right? It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada continues, Sri Jiva Goswami instructs that chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be loudly done. So that means when we are doing kirtan, we should sing loudly. What about japa? In japa also, we don't say it very loudly, but we say it audibly, because the nature of japa is such that we say it audibly. That means we should be able to hear. It should not be something it should not be something we cannot hear. So we should be able to hear, right? But the best effect is when it's loudly done. Of course, we cannot chant 16 rounds loudly every day. We become so thirsty, we lose all our energy. So we are not in the same level. So japa, right? But when we have kirtan, we should sing in the loudest voices we have. We should just lift our hands into the air, and we should just chant loudly. That is for kirtan. But for japa, we should do audibly. Hmm? Should be performed, and importantly, it should be performed offenselessly, as well as recommended in the Padma Purana. So the 10 offenses, if we go to temple, right, or in some devotees' houses. So sometimes we will say the 10 offenses after after the Tulsi prayers, we say the 10 offenses, right? So every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these offenses if they want to achieve the desired goal of success, which is Krishna Prem. So what are the 10 offenses? Apparently these 10 offenses are taken from the Padma Purana. So Prabhupada has taken them from Padma Purana. So there are, the first offense is the most serious, right? To blaspheme the devotees of the Lord who have dedicated their lives towards propagating the holy names of the Lord. So if someone is doing that and we blaspheme them, that is the worst offense. It completely uproots our devotional service and leads us astray if we are unrepentive, if we continue to do this. So we have to avoid that. So what happens if we hear blasphemy? So Prabhupada says a devotee should try to restrict the vilifier. That means somebody who's blaspheming, he should try to restrict him by cutting out his tongue and being unable to. So this is Prabhupada saying Bhagavatam, right? He says we should try to cut out his tongue. That serious is the situation of blasphemy, right? But most of us don't want to cut out people's tongue, because then we'll go to jail and then finish our life. So therefore, being unable to do so, one should commit suicide. And that also most people will not do, right? So rather than hear the blaspheming of the devotee of the Lord. So this is to show how important it is that we should avoid hearing blasphemy of the devotees of the Lord. We should really, 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 really avoid. Because we cannot commit suicide, we cannot cut off their tongue, then what should we do, right? So therefore the conclusion is that one should neither hear nor allow vilification of a devotee of the Lord. So if it's within our power, we do not allow them. We challenge them, right? We defeat them if it's within our ability, right? But if it's not, or if we see it's futile, this person is never going to, they're going to continue only, so then what we should not hear. So it says the conclusion is that one should neither hear. So we should not hear. We should close our ears. So in other places, Prabhupada says we should leave that place. We should leave that place. So then, right. So of course, that's the first. That's the first offense. Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva to be equal and independent of the names of the Lord, of Lord Vishnu. So that means we think that the names of other devatas is also in the same level as the names of the Lord. So it's not in the same level. They are not the supreme Lord. The supreme Lord is head and shoulders way above, right? So that's another offense. There are actually an entire lecture can be given on these 10 offenses. I won't go into the details. So I'm just going to mention third offense third offense is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master and to consider the spiritual master to be an ordinary person, right? That's the third offense. Fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literatures and the literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. That means not reading the Vedic literatures, that's also blasphemy, and or avoiding it, or not speaking in the same conclusion. That means speaking against the conclusion of scriptures. That is also blasphemy. Fifth offense is to consider the glories of the chanting of the holy names to be an imagination or exaggeration. That means we think, oh, this is all exaggeration. Chanting can do this? No, oh no, I don't think so. So, or this is just imagination. No, lah, it cannot be lah. So if you think like that, that's also offense. Sixth offense is to give some kind of mundane interpretation on the glories of the chanting of the holy name. To tell people, oh, if you chant the holy name, you will get material benefits. Why don't you chant? You will become rich. Why don't you chant? All your disease will go away. When we chant the holy names, this is not how we preach. It's a wrong way of preaching. Actually, for it creates some kind of, it's like giving mundane interpretation, right? So, of course, the chanting of the holy name is Chintamani. It can give anything. It can give anything the person desires. But we should not be preaching in that way if we want, Goloka Prem. So that is something we learn to avoid. And then seventh offense is considered very, very dangerous. Next to the first offense, the seventh offense is the most dangerous. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. That means we chant the holy name, and then we plan to commit one sin, and then we say, okay, after that, I will counteract that sin by chanting the holy name. I will counteract it. So that to think like that and to continue doing like that, that is also an aparat. And then eighth offense is to consider the chanting of the holy names to be one of the auspicious ritualistic activities given in the Vedas, known as karma kanda. That means we go and we think that, oh, this chanting is very feng shui. If we chant, it's good feng shui, a good vastu, or it's very auspicious, So we do it in that motive. Of course, it does. The automatic side effect is it does. But that shouldn't be our motive. If we have that as our motive, then we cannot get we cannot get Krishna prem. We can get liberation, but not Krishna prem. Ninth offense is to instruct a faithless person in the glories of the chanting of the holy name. What does that mean? Does that mean we don't tell people to chant? No, we tell people to chant. But we don't tell them about the glory. Oh, by chanting Krishna's names, you will get Golokera Prema Dana. Now, we don't tell that to people, right? We just say, oh, it's good for you. Why don't you chant the holy names? It's the Yuga Dharma. It actually it's the best spiritual activity you can do. It will purify you. It will give you all benedictions. So we can see that, right? But we don't go to the deeper glories of the Lord, to people who have no faith. Why? Because then they will offend. Because they have no faith, in their mind they will make fun of it. They will offend. So if we are the cause, if our preaching is the cause of people offending, then that's not good for us. So that's why the ninth offense. And 10th offense is to maintain material attachments even after hearing so many instructions in this matter. And so we don't want to do that also. So if we have ultimately we hear all this, we chant all this, is so that we can develop detachment towards material nature and attachment to the Lord. Why we want to get attachment to the Lord? So that we can be detached from material nature. So, but if we still hold on, no, I cannot give up this. I know. This is the path, but we can take it step by step. So especially as we are towards approaching death, as we come closer and closer, as we retire, as we grow older, we should step by step have a plan. We should have a plan little by little to learn to develop detachment. I will give this up, I will give that up, I will give this up. Okay, I will no longer have so many clothes. I will no longer eat so opulently all the time. Like that, step by step by step by step. So that's why we have the Varnashram Dharma. Varnashram Dharma is meant for us to go in this direction. From Grihastha, take Vanaprastha. That means already learning detachment. And then sannyas, if possible. Sannyas is not mandatory, it's optional. But Vanaprastha is mandatory. Everybody should take up Vanaprastha, mandatory. It's necessary. That means one should learn to develop detachment, right? So that is important. Okay, so Prabhupada continues further by offenseless chanting and hearing of the holy name. So if we do this offenselessly, then what will happen little by little, as we try to do this little by little, one becomes acquainted with the transcendental form of the Lord. So by chanting, we develop attraction to the form of the Lord. We become acquainted and we become attracted by the form of the Lord. And then with the attributes of the Lord, oh, the Lord has so many wonderful qualities. This quality is so nice. His quality of mercy, his quality of his, Krishna has so many qualities. One of the qualities is he's an expert dresser. He dresses very expertly. So like that, there are many qualities which we can meditate upon, right? And then with the transcendental nature of his pastimes. Oh, Krishna has so many wonderful pastimes. Srimad Bhagavatam will give us so many of these pastimes, right? And thus the necessity of the chanting of his glories develops successfully. So as we begin chanting, we develop attraction to his rupa, his guna, his leela, and in this way, it will in summation increase our taste for chanting, and that will further increase our attraction to the nama, rupa, guna, and lila, and that will again further increase our attachment towards the chanting. So it goes like a loop which increases and increases and increases after every loop, right? And it will come to a point where you want to glorify the Lord, you want to glorify devotional service. So we cannot contain it within ourselves, we want to speak it to people. So that will create the necessity of preaching. Sometimes people say, why I need to, I don't have the desire to preach, we may say. So if one of the symptoms of someone who is hearing and chanting seriously is that they will develop a desire to preach sincerely. They want to speak, they want to say this to people, they want to spread this mission of Srila Prabhupada. It will come, right? So, but one has to be patient, one has to hear and chant for some time, right? Seriously, right? Sometimes we cannot be so serious, so that means we need to give more time. So, but gradually it will come. So that is the understanding here. According to Sri Sukadev Goswami, this way of attaining success is an established fact, concluded not only by him but also by all other previous acharyas. So this is the way to do it, step by step, right? According to the instructions of Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru in Parampara. So if we are faithful, if we have that conviction, then it will lead us step by step. First of all, Adao Shraddha, we have that faith. Then Sadhu Sangha, we thicken that faith by association. Then we come to the step of Bhajana Kriya. We start to perform our regulative principles. We start chanting, hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dashyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So these are the Bhajana Kriyas, the 9 processes of devotional service. As we do this more and more, what will happen? Our faith increases. It becomes then the stage called anartha nivriti. So as we are doing these processes, all the anarthas, the impurities in our heart, gets removed, anartha nivriti. Then it brings us to the level of nishta. We have become stable. our faith becomes stable. That's Madhyam Adhikari already. Then when our faith is stable, then when we follow these devotional practices, we begin to relish taste. Taste comes. But before taste comes, there's one more stage which is called Ashakti. We become attached to it. That's the mode of goodness. That means one is situated in the mode of goodness. We are fixed in our devotional service and we cannot give it up also. So we cannot give it up means that means we are attached. There is some attachment, right? Then there is ruchi, taste. We develop taste. And when ruchi thickens and thickens, then it becomes bhava. Bhava is the beginning of transcendental symptoms. Just the beginning, the fragrance only. And when bhava intensifies, just like how Mahaprabhu showed in his pastimes in Chaitanya Leela, then he develops prema, and his prema is undescribable. So this is the 9 stages of devotional service. So, and what Prabhupada says here, this success is established fact. It's a fact. It will happen. Don't think it won't happen. If we follow, then it will happen. Concluded not only by him, but also by all other previous acharyas. So not only Prabhupada is saying this, not only Sukadev Goswami is saying this, everybody who in the disciplic succession has attained these stages, right? So let us have that faith. Let us share that faith with others as well. All right, so it's 9:35. I wanted to go a little bit more further, but never mind, we will stop here. So we stopped at 2:111, right? So let us chant Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you very much for attending and spending your time and encouraging me also. So, any questions? Anything you want to say? Can raise it. Any doubts? Anything which wasn't clear? Right. Otherwise, we can also put it in the chat. Right. So if there's nothing further, no worries. So always ready to get more questions. So if anyone wants to raise, they can put it in the chat or they can just message me. So, but please do read also if you have the time. Very nice. I've tried to capture most of Prabhupada's points. So far, it's okay. But sometimes, like in Canto 1, there were some points, there were just too many points. So it's nice if you can also read on your own. All right, so Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Haribol, I'll see you all later.
Prabhu, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.